Lift off of the Hubsan X4. I'm operating in my house again. This time here I'm looking at smoothness of flight and precision. Now what you have to keep in mind, I only have about 14 by 10 feet to work with, so there is a lot of obstacles. As you can see in the mirror, I am floating fairly stable, and that's the objective of this. Now, you have to appreciate how sensitive the controls are. In order for me to keep that smoothness, is that I've got to play with less than a millimeter in any direction on any of my two controllers on my remote. So it's it's a challenge, but that's what I want to do, is to be able to handle this small craft in a very smooth fashion. Now I just did a turn and I'm heading towards the north wall, and as you can see, I am working at a very slow speed. I can't go too fast, again, because of the size of the room and the response. Now I'm going to try to go over an obstacle, and I did that successfully. Now I'm westbound in the living room, and I'm coming up to the music section, and we're right by the piano, and you can see the scores. That center one is actually a piece written by Gounod named Faust, from the Opera Faust. Little small Schubert piano, and again, it's precision flying that I'm focusing on too. There's a lot of wind that comes from these little propellers, and I'm approaching the piano again, and I'm trying to do it slow with precision. Now the camera's resolution isn't all that great. There you just seen the Faust on the script. I'm modest. Yeah, very modest. Now I'm hovering up by the fireplace, about 2 feet from the wall, and that's by Berard, that painting. It's a hand painting. We bought it back in the 60s. And again, there's a nice looking fellow there. As you can see, I'm coming towards me, and of course everything is done in reverse. There is my nice, neat office place. The problem is that the workload comes in quicker than what I can clean up. Once again, doing a fly around, and you can see that I'm more stable than what I have in the past. And again, that's from getting used to those controls. Like I say, it just takes ever slight movement either way on the controls. Now outside, I'd have a lot more tolerance. I wouldn't have to be as accurate with my controls, but in the house, if I speed up too much, I'm going to smash into something. I just won't have the response time to navigate the craft, pilot the craft, whatever term you want to use. It's I'm doing some rotations and that, and there I did go into a little spin out, but I recovered. We're looking out the living room window outside, and as you can see, lighting on this little camera is not too accurate, and of course, I mean, what do you expect? I mean, it's not an expensive camera, very cheap, so you can't expect any extreme high resolution, nor do I have control over ISO speeds, f-stops, or any of those things that would help on the lighting. And I don't have any control over focusing or anything, so it's just all native to that particular little camera, and it's a 720 DPI, so it isn't. But what makes this little Hubsan X4, it's a great trainer, because if you take the time, you'll master the skills, and when you get to the larger drones, you'll be that much further ahead. Like, I don't want, at this point in time, the first person view, because I really want to get the feel of that. Now I've got it right up. You can see the camera, and also the thing is, if you'll notice, that it doesn't video anything above the drone. It's always below. There's my beautiful daughter. Do another pass. That'll make her ego. And that, so again, in the mirror, you can see that I've got relatively a fair amount of good control over this craft. It took me about a month to get that kind of precision in. I have already destroyed one in the house, totally annihilated it, and I learned the hard way about the sensitivity of those controls. So now I'm playing with my controls, I'd say less than a millimeter on all cases, so it's just ever so slight. You know, if I were to push it 1.5 millimeters, the drone would travel too fast for the size of the room, and I wouldn't be able to avoid any collisions. And on this trial here, I didn't have any collisions. I just ran into a little spot a little earlier there where I had where it could have been a collision, but I had recovered it. But in the process of recovering, I was doing a lot of vertical 360s, so it was just a blur, so I cut that out. Again, you'll notice how slow that I'm approaching, how slow that I'm moving, and that is a feat to try to do in a small room. You know, repeating myself outside, I could, you know, work, you know, operate it a lot faster, just because there's a lot more room and a lot more time for response, you know, unlike what I have to do in this small room. Again, as you see, you know, I'm doing precision flying. I'm getting within, you know, ½ inches of, you know, of my objects. In the back's my MIDI keyboard. You know, that's, I guess, another thing is that I'm both, you know, I play both piano and guitar, and I read music. So that's a skill within itself, to be able to read music. And I forgot to take that old Christmas sock that's on the fireplace. Once again, nice young fella. So we're drawing this to a close. I'm bringing it to a smooth landing, no bouncing, and that's how I want it to end. Until the next trial.